Welcome to the explainer. So, how many times have you heard someone say, just go with the flow, or you've got to accept change? Well, today we're going to look at a story that flips that whole idea on its head. It's Deepak Malhotra's fable, I Moved Your Cheese, and it asks a pretty radical question. What if you're not supposed to just adapt to the world? What if you're supposed to be the one changing it? Okay, so let's start in the maze. This is where all the mice live, and they've all got this one simple philosophy, right? It comes from what they call a good book, and it basically says, hey, life's gonna throw stuff at you. Change happens. Your only job is to react. The maze is just the way things are. Their fate is already written, and all they can do is adapt. And you know what happens? After a while, they just stopped asking why. It became second nature. This simple equation became the truth of their entire existence. The cheese is gone? Don't question it. Just get back to running. It's always, always about the next chase, the next piece of cheese. But then you've got this one mouse, Max, and he's different. While every other mouse is just accepting the walls and the fact that the cheese magically disappears, Max just can't let it go. He keeps poking at the very foundations of his world. See, he wasn't interested in just getting better at navigating the maze. He wanted to know why the maze was there in the first place. So naturally, he starts driving everyone crazy, asking this one question that the good book basically told them was forbidden. Who actually moved the cheese? And to all the other mice, this was just ridiculous, a complete waste of energy. I mean, you could be out there finding more cheese instead of asking these pointless questions, right? This is where it gets really interesting. Max has this breakthrough. He realizes he's never, ever going to find the answers he's looking for from inside the maze. The system itself is the problem. So he makes this absolutely radical decision, something totally unheard of. He decides he's going to escape. And check this out. This is how he did it. This wasn't just some wild dream. He actually used his brain. He started observing things, like the shadows the walls were casting. He noticed they had slightly different lengths. So he starts doing the math, calculating the angles, and from that, he figures out the exact height of the walls. He literally turned this impossible idea into a solvable geometry problem. Pretty smart, right? But, being a genius can only get you so far. He knew how high the wall was, but he couldn't physically get over it. He needed a different kind of power. And that's when he finds this mouse named Big. Big is the strongest mouse in the entire maze, not because he was chasing cheese, but just because its whole purpose was to be strong. That's it. And Big, he couldn't care less about Max's big philosophical questions. He just sees a physical challenge, plain and simple. He looks at Max, looks at the wall, and just says, I can throw you up there. How does that sound? And bam, with one powerful toss, he launches Max over the wall. Just like that, for the first time in history, a mouse is free. So Max lands on the other side, and what he finds is, well, it's a total shock to the system. The maze, it wasn't some natural part of the world. It was completely artificial. It was a game, a construct, designed and controlled by these other beings they called people, and they'd built it all for their own profit and entertainment. Every wall, every rule, every reward, it was all part of a design. This is the moment everything changes. Max didn't just figure out the rules of the game, he figured out how to become a game designer. He starts moving the walls himself, putting the cheese wherever he wanted. He literally seized control of the exact same system that had trapped him his entire life. You'd think the story ends there, right? But it doesn't. Max's journey takes another turn. He meets this other mouse, Zed, and Zed represents a whole other level of freedom. He didn't need to escape the maze. He didn't need to control it, because for him, the maze was just completely irrelevant. And then Zed does something that just blows Max's mind. One night, Max is watching, and Zed just walks straight through a solid wall, like it wasn't even there. And that's when it hits you. Zed is demonstrating a power that's way beyond just changing the maze. It's the power to completely ignore it. He proves that those physical walls, they were never the real prison. And this right here, this is the absolute core lesson of the whole story. Zed tells him, you see, Max, the problem is not that the mouse is in the maze, but that the maze is in the mouse. It's brilliant. The real limitations aren't the walls around us. They're the assumptions, the beliefs, the mental mazes that we build up inside our own heads. Okay, so what does this all mean for us, right? Well, the story gives us these three really powerful, distinct paths to freedom. Each one is perfectly embodied by one of our three mice. So you've got three choices here. You can be like Max, challenge the assumptions, learn the rules, and then redesign the whole system. Or you could be like Big, decide your own purpose is so important that the system around you just doesn't matter anymore. You make it irrelevant. And then there's Zed's path, to realize the system itself is just an illusion, a state of mind that you can choose to transcend. You know, that one line from Big when someone asks why he's not chasing cheese, and he just says, "That's not the game I'm playing." Wow. That is so powerful. It's about consciously opting out. It's deciding that the chase for money or status or cheese just doesn't line up with what you're really about. It's about taking a step back and defining the game for yourself. And really, that's what this whole story leaves us with. It's the ultimate question. It forces you to look at your own life and ask, what are my mazes? What's the cheese that I'm chasing without even thinking about it? And the biggest question of all, is the game I'm playing one that I designed for myself, or am I just another mouse running in someone else's maze?